So whether you're in a sprint regatta, rely on your number 5 to help you around on the uni, around the flag. I mean, because besides 1 and 2 bringing the front end around, 5 and 6 can bring the back end around. So you spend less time in the turn. I think I'll cover that.
So what's your secret for this coming up sprinter season? Now you're going to do it in your club.
He's not saying.
Well, there's no mystery to what happens in sprints. I mean,
just watch.
The thing, you get a good start, you get off the line, maintain a good pace. I always want to win the first flag. I keep telling my guys, give me the first flag. The next one is number 2, the next one is number 3. If I'm doing one of those races, so I say, okay, I want the first, I'll take the first and the last turn. If I'm doing the 2000, I said, the first and the last turn is mine. The rest is yours. So I want to go out as hard as I can to hit that first flag, to come out of there as smooth and fast as possible. And you need to get off the line. You need to get off the line. I can bring you up to the buffer zone.
Oh, it's
Once
your
you get into the
responsibility.
buffer zone, you're on your own.
Yep.
I cannot keep bringing you up any closer than that. I can bring you into the buffer zone and I can't talk to you anymore. It's up to you to bring the canoe up to the line. And I'm telling you right now, do not lag behind. Laggers cause more problems at regattas than anybody. Laggers and the anxious one that want to get there 5 minutes before everybody else and waiting on the line when the wind is blowing across the field like that. So those are the 2 problems we have with regattas, is the early birds and the late birds. Okay, I don't like neither one. But I rather take the early birds than the late birds. So no one's going to wait. You got 30 seconds. Once you get in the buffer zone, you got 30 seconds, and we're going to start the race. So be aware of that. Excuse me. Be aware of that we're going to bring you into the buffer zone, and you're going to come to the line. All right, coming up to the line, you know what dictates that? It's the conditions. If you got a tailwind, you got to back off a little bit because you don't know how fast that flag is going to go. The white flag is going to go off, and the green. There's 5 seconds between those 2 flags. So if you can hold, if you can be on the line and hold that for 5 seconds, perfect. Okay. With no tailwind, not a problem. Headwind, there's headwinds. You come up to the line, right up to the line, and let the wind go back. Okay. Don't be dragging your butt in the back and then come up and then you got to stop the boat and then you go. Be prepared for the start. Be prepared for the start. Bring your canoe up there and make sure your crew is ready for the start. Okay? And get up. I'm not going to tell you how to start because your coach is going to tell you how they want you to bust out on the start. I tend to want to get out there in a hurry. So it's really fast. Like the stroke rate is up, bang, 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 settle in, it's on the course somewhere. Right? And since we're on regatta, I must go through it. If you're doing a 500, it's an all-out sprint. You're going to do, 2 minutes something? So you're going to push as hard as you can for
2 minutes.
Yeah. And the best scenario in the sprints where no problems arises in the turns is that if everybody is there at the same time. Reason why is because when you make that turn, no one's in your way. The problem is if I'm in this and I got a slow crew on my left and I'm down there in a hurry and I'm coming out and they're coming in and they're a little wide, what does that do to you?
You got to go off.
You got to slow down so that you can avoid a collision. Right? That's when you run into problems. But if everybody gets down there pretty close, maybe no more than half, both, behind whatever, everybody turns, it's perfect. No problem. It's when, and in a shorter race, it's not too much of an issue in the 500. But when you get into the 1,000 and the 2,000, it can be an issue. Because if you have a slow cruise on either your left or right, you're going to have issues on either side, on the far turn and on the start-finish turns. But remember, when you're going down, you've got, between the flags, you got all that space to work with. The only time you don't have that space is when there's canoes going in opposite direction. When canoe is coming out and you're going in. But if you're all going out at the same time, you can take up that whole space if you want to. I wouldn't advise that. I wouldn't advise taking up the whole space. You got the little bobby, the water there. That probably should be your mark. Sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't.
The middle mark.
You know, rely on the people in front of you to let you know that you're on course. You got your line. You're going to go to that bob. You're going to make it. You're going to cut in, and then you're going to call your uni, and you can come out of the turn. Right? On the approach of the turn, if you can paddle into the approach, that's the best thing you can do. You know, instead of pushing too much here, and then now you got to correct. The worst thing you can do is overcorrect going in, and then you got to correct on the other side so you don't run into the flag. Okay? So what means you're going to go in, you're going in like this too tight, and now you got to come back out. So you're just slowing down the canoe at that point. And then when you make the turn, you're going to be out of position. So just wait outside and then just come not too far deep. Never go too deep. Because once you get too deep, you got to make up that distance that you left. Monterey is a good example. This is the most challenging place because especially if there's swells. So what I do on the far turn here is I attack the flag. Because usually the flag is in the surf zone. So when you get up there, the water is moving like this, here's the flag, the water is moving like this. So you come up like this and a canoe, it moves you. So what I do is I attack the flag. I come right at the flag like that because it's going to adjust and then you come around. On this side here, on the finish start side, I tend to back up a little bit and just let the thing go around. And I don't attack it. I just play it for a little bit on the back side of the flag. Not too deep, but the back side of the flag. So you set up on the uni. You can, if you want to. I mean, you do want to get a poke, but don't poke so hard that it just stalls it out. And I want to cover with something right here that has to do with stroke. You got all this. There's one stroke I'll never do, and I will never do, and that's the prize stroke. You'll never see me do a prize stroke. And that's this. You see a lot of guys going around the turn doing this. You'll never see me do that. I think it's a waste of time and it slows the canoe down. The best thing you can do, you might as well just paddle right around the turn without even poking. You're going to do that. That's better to do than having to try. And you can. You can paddle right through without even poking. You can. And it works well. I mean, it works. Even though you come out wide, it doesn't matter. You still got momentum. And what's going to happen? Where is it going to pull? The canoe's going to pull left, right? Right. So you go wide, what's it going to bring you? It's going to bring you right back where you need to be. Because if you look down, when you come across and you look down at the far end, here's your flag. You're out here. This canoe's coming right back. In between the two flags, what you need to do. So instead of stalling the canoe out in the turn, let it go. The only time you don't let it go is like the instance where you got a slow canoe and that's coming in and you're going and trying to go out. But you have to be aware of that. I'm always aware of canoes. I judge crews. I mean, as time goes on, I know crews and I judge them. I say, okay, that's going to be a slow crew. That's going to be a fast crew. I don't want to be next to that crew. I'll be next to that crew. So when I set up on the line here, I'm looking for someone that I don't have a problem with, or I got two crews that I said, we're going to go out of here. They're going to be sitting here, and we're going to be bang gone. And that's okay. But if they're going to be it's going to be a problem, then you don't want to be next to it. They're a problem in sprints, though. You can't avoid those crews because you're going to see them again. On the return, you're going to see them again. So I hate having slow crews on my left or right because you have to adjust them. But you have to be aware of that they're there all the time. So you take, when you're going down the course, I constantly watch. While I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm watching what's going on, and I see if they're moving ahead. Now, when I'm approaching a turn, I look back to see where that canoe is at. I look to see how far back or how close it is, and how my approach is going to be. Whether I'm going to sit wide and come out real tight, or I can just let it go. And I want to let it go all the time. I don't never want to slow down and take a tight turn at any time. Because it's just, you know, it wears you down, it wears the crew down, it slows you down. Okay? So that's when you're out there. This is just giving you stuff that I've been doing all through the years as far as sprints. I love doing sprints. And it's challenging to me and it's fun for me. And I like that part of the competition is who can take the turn, who can get out of that turn fast. And I've won and lost a lot of races in the turn. Because I came out faster, or I got stalled in the turn because someone was blocking away and I got beat. But, you know, I mean, that's something you're going to have to work with, practice it. Coach will show you what to do and you just get out there and do it. Any questions? Yes, Bob.
In the time that you spent as a stroker in seat 1, how do you see best to help steer the canoe around the flag and the springs? What's your role there?
Well, when you know, after a while, you know where the canoe needs to be in position-wise, where the canoe needs to be positioned to the approach. So my number two, me and my number 2 were like in sync the whole time when we were racing. So we could talk to each other and say, we got to go in. So we would anticipate the approach. We would actually say, okay, we're pulling in. We pull in. We pull into the turn. And when before the steersman could yell uni, we would be on it. So what happens when you yell, when the steersman calls uni, I go, uni. Now, before you can react, we're like 2 seconds already. 1 or 2 seconds. Too late. So if you know when it should happen, then make it happen. Okay. So what I used to do when I would uni all the time before the call. And when the call came, it was like push. Because when he was calling, we were doing it. We didn't hear it and then react to it. But I mean that comes with experience. I mean, not everybody's in that situation where you can, they can just react to. But it's just paying attention every time to practice. I mean, these are hundreds of terms of practice, just over and over and over until God just gets sick of me doing. So no, gotta go some more. Do some more terms. Do some more. Yes.
What kind of unis are you doing? Are 1 and 2 flipping over? There's been so many different variations. Curious.
When I actually was number 1, I would just poke on the right. I would just poke on the right and hold for 3 seconds, come over. Number 2 would be already drawing to pull the canoe around, and then I would draw, and then we go straight. Now the guys mostly just come over and plant or post or whatever you guys call it, post there, and that works well. And it has to do with the angle of the blade. The angle of the blade. If you just square off like that, I mean, it works better if you come over and you take the paddle and you here, and then you just angle it off like this. I tend to just angle it off like this because what's going to happen is I'm going to come out of the water eventually, so I want to be in this position to take the stroke. So if I come over and I'm going to post on the uni, say uni, and I come over, my paddle is here, and then I just draw it forward, and so when I'm here, I'm going to pull. Now I'm going to pull. So I don't have to go here and then take it out and paddle. I'm here, I slide it forward and pull onto the canoe. That'll bring the canoe around. You don't want to spend too much time doing that. I mean, I tell my guys, it's going to be quick, guys. Just do it, and then when I say, let's go, when I say straight, and I call straight almost, as soon as I call uni, I'm calling straight right away. Because I don't want to miss, hanging the turn that long, because that's not what you want to get out of there as fast as possible. So you want momentum. So you don't want to slow it. I mean, that's drag. You know that. Every time you put the paddle in the water like that, where you close it out, that's drag. Yeah. And don't do this, is you turn the paddle, you like this, and it's almost like the pride, when you're turning your paddle backwards and you go like this. I've seen guys doing like hopeless. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Just curious.
Do you go straight from the kahi to a forward stroke, or do you do a draw stroke, or
If it's called for, then we do.
do something between?
If not, I'll just paddle straight.
Okay.
It all depends. See, that's why people in one and the person steering got to be the same, because if you don't have to draw, you just paddle straight out. Because that's what you want. Remember, I told you, best stroke is your forward stroke, not this cross stroke, not your side stroke, whatever. It's a forward stroke.
So the plan is not to do that if you can.
If you can get that, and it all comes with the setup on the approach. If the setup is right on the approach, when you hit that turn, that canoe, remember I told you that canoe, once you make that turn, once you put that canoe in the air turn, it's just going to keep going. Right? So it's already in motion. And all you want to do is get it out of the turn and get back to the other end.
So, as you're coming into the flag to make a turn, as I understand it, as a steersman, you're setting it up and you're already making your approach, and then for me, I'll call uni. That means one drops his blade on the right side. And then I'll call kahi. Two will stop and come out. And that's when one comes over at the same time. Do I understand that?
So yeah, you're calling two things that you call an ui and you call a kite.
Right.
Okay, so now that what means, so that you call the uni, they have to react to the uni,
Yeah.
and you call the kite, they have to react to the kite.
Right.
So that's a few seconds there
Right.
that's taking place on the turn alone.
Right.
I'd rather avoid all of that time
Right.
and just go right around the turn. So I mean, I do call a uni.
Yeah.
And the uni is just to get the guys knowing what I want to do.
Right.
So they're gonna react,
Right.
and then that's it. After that, it's just straight.
So automatically one will come
They
over. when
just
you
automatically do it
Oh, I
exactly.
see.
So I don't call the
Right.
kite.
Okay.
Because they should automatically do that.
I understand that.
They should understand what they need to do
Right.
in front. And another thing I do in the uni is I slow the canoe down. And you may ask, why slow the canoe down? Because a slow canoe turns really easier than a fast canoe. When I approach, I power up before I make the approach. As soon as I say it, going in, shut it down. Through in the middle, they shut it down.
You tell your paddlers to shut it
They
down.
know that automatically, they shut it down. So they don't stop paddling, they just don't put any pressure on the
They
blade.
back it off.
Yeah, they just back off so that I can have an easier time to come around. So what happens is they slow the canoe down, and one and two pulls it around, it just swings a lot better. And you go. Especially if you're gonna race the Mirage. Mirage doesn't turn around the mark as much as the Bradleys do. The Bradleys got a little more rocker and stuff, so they can swivel around and turn better. Mirage, you got to work the Mirage, but they can come around pretty good. That's why and also in the Malia too. I'm racing the Malia, I stall out. I slow it down.
So through your turn, are you poking?
I poke 1, 2, 3, boom, out.
Yeah.
If that.
Then start.
Yeah, and then I start paddling out and watch. And you just be aware, like I said, about if you got clear water,
Let it
you
turn,
can do
let it go.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
You just come out of there and just power out of the turn. And it's like a start all over again. Every turn you make when you come out is like a start all over again. So there's pressure on you to get out of there. So you just hammer out of there and get going and then settle in. And your stroke count, don't hold your stroke count so long that you paddle on one side forever. You have to play around. I always tell the guys to make the call. Is you play around, stop playing around with the call in practice. If you're calling 7 strokes, you're calling 8 strokes, you're calling 10 strokes, whatever. You play around that. Don't get caught up on one certain count. Like, we're doing 12 strokes. We don't care. We're doing 12. No, you can't. You can't. That's because it's also been named, not put you in the right position to make the turn. Okay? So when you talk, and whoever is calling with number 3, I think today you guys are using number 3 to call, and that's good. Number 3 is a good call position. But make sure they know that they have to break up the call. You got to set it up early. Mid course, you got to start setting up. You got to look, and it's all judgment. You got to sight the distance, and you say, okay, I need so many strokes here, I need so many strokes there. So you just calculate that in your mind, and a lot of times it's right on the money, and sometimes, it's not.
Everybody's grumbling.
Yeah,
Call it.
but But the thing is, I don't, I'll talk about it later on, but when it happens, you're off, you just react. I mean, sometimes the guys are not in the right position. You want 1-3-5 on the right going in, so one can come over, two's already there, right? And sometimes it's not. But are you going to worry about it? No, you just want to get out of there. You just let them figure it out. As you make the turn, you just let it go and say, okay, figure it out, get into the right position, and you go. Okay, so don't get all bent out of shape because they were like I do. Don't. Then you're working, coming away. I mean, you finish it. What are you going to do when you finish? You want to paddle, in all conditions, you want to paddle as hard as you can to help the crew out to finish. You want 6 people paddling at the same time coming to the finish. Because that's when you want to go the fastest, right? Coming into a finish, you want to go hard to the finish line. So you want everybody paddling. So you, as a steersman, you got to set the canoe up so that you can paddle as much as you want. I tend to say, if I want to paddle on a certain side, I want to paddle left, I want to paddle right, I set the canoe up. So that's, I know this is the right side for me, my right side is my power side, left side is my fast side. So if I'm on my left side, it's all bang, bang, bang. My right side is
Power.
Boom, boom, boom. And they should be the same.
Everything's different, right? Conditions are different. Everything's different.
So, yeah, I mean, as a stroker, you tend to want to be consistent on each side. So, I've worked on it through the years, and I'm getting there. Anyone we got a question?
Thanks for sharing your secrets that you're going to be teaching.